Hello people of YouTube, this is video number 62 in my vlogging series. I still haven't actually decided on a name, but let me just close that door so I don't wake anyone up. Everyone else is asleep. It is yet again 11 o'clock at night. I'm only just getting around to doing this video because today has been Bank Holiday Monday, May Day over here in England, and naturally what that means is it's essentially like a Sunday, and what that means is the family expect me to provide entertainment, ideas for places to go, for things to do, and obviously to fund everything that they expect me to think of and do and take them to. So we didn't do all that much. If anything, I benefited the most out of everyone in our little unit today, in that I saw I'd come across some of the powers of visualization, I suppose, or manifestation, or affirmations. I don't quite know. I haven't been doing them actively or anything of that sort actively. But there have been a few times where I have visualized stumbling upon certain things, or maybe I have repeated something enough times in my head to myself, or even read it enough times to the point where I then do actually stumble upon these things. So the first one I'm going to get onto is there's a particular book written by a very clever man named Daniel Kahneman. Yeah, it was a professor or something, and he won the Nobel for something or other. I think it was statistics or mathematics, whatever. But I listened to an audiobook of his, Thinking Fast and Slow, a couple of years ago, maybe 3 years ago, and everything in there was very interesting, quite profound to say the least. And in the recent couple of months, especially in this journey, I have been thinking to myself it would be really nice to obtain his book. Now, I've been to some of the larger bookshops, and because it's an old book, it's not something they stock anymore. In fact, the book was written, God, when was it? I'm sure maybe 80s, 90s. I'm not even sure. I really don't know. I haven't even checked. But I know what the front cover looks like, because I've seen this front cover thousands of times online, on the audiobook, etc. And a few weeks ago, when was it? No, it was in the last 2 weeks. I was on my way driving through a town, and I know that in this particular town there is another charity bookshop, and I thought to myself, you know what, I'm going to go find some parking, going to dump the car, going to walk into town, I'm going to go to this bookshop, and I'm going to stumble upon this particular book. And I visualized, I remember quite vividly, like seeing in my head what the cover of the book looks like. And afterwards I just kind of thought to myself, yeah, it would be really nice if I can find, if I do genuinely find that book today. So park the car, 5-minute walk up to the shop, and I spend maybe 5 minutes or so looking around the like the philosophy books and the self-help and the reference books and the academic books and that. And there was a couple of books that I found initially that I already have. One of them I'd finished reading. Another one that I hadn't started reading yet, but I do have it. It's always nice to kind of see a book you already have or have read in a bookshop, and suddenly it just it brings back a lot of memories. So it's a nice experience overall. And yeah, so I hadn't picked up any books yet at this point, and I, I was just about to kind of give up, you know, move on, part ways with the shop for the day, and carry on with life. And then I thought, no, I'm gonna just have one last look in a different section, not in the section I was looking. Maybe this book was incorrectly placed, or maybe someone had picked it up and just put it down wherever they saw fit. And as I looked down, there it was. The cover was just staring me straight in the face. I don't know how I didn't see it walking into the, okay, in all fairness, the section of the shop I was in was right at the back, in the very, like in the corner. But standing there for 5 minutes, I don't know how I didn't see the book. It wasn't until I'd looked down for the second time, maybe subconsciously I'd seen it, but it hadn't registered. And that was my mind's way of trying to tell the conscious me, there's something down there you need to take another look at. So I looked down, and there it was, the cover just staring me in the face, thinking fast and slow. And I was like, Jesus Christ, there's the book. So I picked it up, and as I picked that book up, there were, I think, immediately two others that I'd read about previously and wanted to get as well. So I grabbed the next one, and then another one. I was like, wow, okay, this is quickly turning into a proper treasure trove of education information, essentially. And yeah, the most surreal thing was that, like I said, only minutes before had I sort of vividly visualized to myself picking up this book, seeing the cover in the shop, and lo and behold, it was there. So that was quite a surreal experience. And then another one was a couple of days ago. I mentioned in a video I'm reading a book where the author actually mentioned that that particular book is just a companion, smaller book to a much larger book. And I'd been reading about the larger of the two, and reading recommendations, reviews, a bit of background info, that kind of thing. And more, obviously I was repeating the title in my head, and it was clearly sitting in the back of my mind. So in today's little trip to entertain the family, keeping them interested in stuff, we went to another bookshop, different town, and I was looking through the usual catalogue of stuff, and not much had changed since I was last there just over a week ago. And again, I was at that point where I was about to say to myself, nah, that's it. No point spending any longer double checking anything. Just cut your losses, move on, go find another shop, do whatever. And I walked away, and then I stopped myself, and I did that same thing again, where I looked over and I looked down, and there was a separate display of books, like featured titles essentially, or something like that. But it's at low level. It's like 2 inches off the floor, so it's not in eye line. It's not easy to see. And I looked down and I was like, hang on a minute. That title down there, I can see. I've repeated that in my head probably 20-30 times in the last 2, 3, 4 days. And yeah, it was the big book that I'd been reading about, thinking about. So, and what's amazing is it was £2.99. That's a fucking bargain. The original price I think on there was like $16.99. So yeah, again, charity bookshops, man, they are absolute treasure troves of information. And then again, once I picked that one up, it's like my eyes had opened. Then I saw another book that I had read about in, I think it was something written by Ryan Holiday that he mentioned, and he said there's something in there that quite profound that he found, that obviously he then wrote about in one of his own books. And funny enough, so I picked up this book, and earlier today when we got back home, it didn't twig initially, but when I was packing the books away in my little bookstore, I noticed that the second book I picked up, well, I've already got not that book, but a sort of like a precursor book to that book by the same author. So again, whether it was manifestation or just repetitiveness or just a chance of finding books by the same author in the same shops. Actually, no, they weren't even in the same shops, all of them. Yeah, it sounds surreal, and it's very hard to explain, but it's a little crazy, to be honest. But I'm not complaining, because I know that the information held in those books are awesome, potentially life-changing, or good in one way or another. And the way I see it is, if I can just learn one thing from every book I read, I'm thankful for that book. So yeah, there's that. Yeah, mad journey, mad journey, emotional almost. Very thirsty. Anyway, I'm sure you're plenty bored of me talking about books and crap if you've been watching this far into the video. It's now 11:10. I'm gonna get going because I want to get some sleep. Yeah, I've got lots of work to do. Let's try that in English. I've got lots of work to do tomorrow, although technically tomorrow's my day off because my wife works and I stayed home with the kid, the youngest of the two kids, the one who's not in school yet. So yeah, hopefully I can afford some peaceful time to kind of sit down, concentrate, do some planning, do some writing, do some work, marketing. That's where a lot of my efforts are concentrated at the moment. Marketing my business. Oh, pardon me. I had barbecue for dinner, so lots of gas. Oh, right, I'm going to leave it there. I will see you tomorrow. Have a good evening, or if you're watching this in the morning, good morning, whatever. Thank you for watching. Appreciate it. If you want to hear more or see how this develops, be sure to subscribe, like the video, share it with a friend, colleague, family, whatever. If you have any questions, as always, drop a comment down below. I'll answer it to my best ability. Yeah. Bye.